Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm sorry about not uploading yesterday. It was my friend's birthday and so we celebrated, so I apologize for that. But today we're back, and we're back better than ever with another good, bad, and ugly, this time on the 3rd gen Acura TL. I'm probably not going to be able to find the comment since it was so long ago, but somebody did comment that they wanted to see this, so if it's you, here you go. Just so you guys know what the good, the bad, the ugly is, first I talk about the car, what the car came with. Then I talk about what people usually do in modifying it, and then I finally get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's get right into it, baby! Alright, so first of all, the first thing we're getting into is the car itself, and just so you guys know, we are talking about the 3rd generation Acura TL. And the 3rd generation Acura TL was made from 2003 to 2008 and didn't really make any changes except very, very small exterior changes and lots of changes to the looks and comfortability on the interior coming in later models. But those things, I mean, at least I feel like to a car guy don't really matter for the most part. Just, I don't know, I could be wrong, but that's what I think. Anyway, the TL came with 2 different chassis codes. It came with either the UA6 or the UA7, and every TL was front wheel drive, so just keep that one in mind. And the car came with a 3.2 liter V6 that made 270 horsepower at first, but then for some reason they later bogged that horsepower down to only 258. I don't know why they did that. It doesn't really make any sense to me, but they did it. Also, the car came with 233 foot-pounds of torque in base models, and that, by the way, was for the base models. And for the Type S model, which is the only one that actually came with an actual increase in performance, it came with a 3.5 liter V6 making 286 horsepower and 245 foot-pounds of torque, still front-wheel drive, of course. But that's obviously a big jump, which is the reason why everybody wants the Type S TLs. They're a lot better, they're a lot more fun, and they're faster. There was only base model or the Type S model worth noting when talking about the TL. Where most cars would make a whole new trim level for something extremely simple, the TL just included it in the next model year, but the Type S got the engine upgrade I talked about, as well as a lot of exterior changes to make it more aggressive and a couple actual handling differences. The car came with either a 5-speed automatic, paddle shifters came with that automatic on the Type S, but only on the Type S, or a 6-speed manual, which not only was cooler and more fun, but that for some reason also had Brembo brakes, limited slip differential, stiff anti-roll bars, and sport tires for no additional price. Seems like an easy choice to me. Buy the manual, you get a bunch of cooler upgrades. Alright, but next we're talking about modifying the car and what people typically do when modifying one of these cars. In the modding scene for this car, most of the time people just go with a VIP show style build with lots of camber, no wide body kits, no real big wings. Racing, they do it sometimes, but for the most part they're not racing the Acura TL. Besides the Type S, I mean, the car was really made for just comfortable city driving, so not that many people choose this over the more popular Civic when they're going the racing route. Obviously you can't drift it, it's front wheel drive, unless you rear wheel drive swapped it, and sure, that is possible, but not a lot of people have the time, money, or energy to do that, so that doesn't happen as well, too much as well either. But for the most part, this car wasn't really built for that anyway. It's an Acura, it's a luxury, comfortable car. It was built to be comfortable, so people know that and they buy them and modify them for the show scene, and they look really, really cool. On top of that, the engine wasn't a Civic engine. It wasn't an inline 4, it was a V6, so most people didn't know where to start when modifying it. Drifting, once again, is obviously out of the picture, and I don't think I've ever seen one like a drag Acura TL, but I'm sure they've done it before, but it doesn't happen too often. Basically, people just love to slam these cars to the ground and make them look clean, and I honestly can respect that. I mean, I feel like when there's certain cars that you have to realize they're not meant to be little race cars. They're not meant to be track missiles. And when people realize that and they start to modify them in a completely different way than what everybody else thinks, which is like, you know, oh, you have to put a turbo on it, you have to put big wheels on it, you have to either drift it or drag race it or circuit race it, and somebody just kind of goes against that and is like, you know what, this car isn't built for any of that. I'm gonna, instead of racing it, I'm gonna make it into a show car. I really like that. I really, really like it, and the whole Acura TL community kind of came together and did that. There's not everybody in the TL community makes show cars, and I think that's pretty awesome. But it's finally time to get into the reason why you guys are all here: the good, the bad, and the Mark Roden, aka the ugly. Explain how it works. All right, let me explain how it works. The good is going to be first. The good are things that I think are great about the car, selling points about the car. The bad is next. The bad is things that you can take it or leave it. If you like it, take it. If you don't like it, leave it. And the ugliest stuff that you cannot deny is bad about the car, and it needs to be addressed. But let's start with the good. First, the car looks really good. Even stock, it looks a lot better than most daily drivers on the road today. It has that like slightly aggressive front end. It has like those nice little aggressive eyes. It has a couple like vents and little curves in the front bumper, and it looks really like, it doesn't look like super aggressive, but it looks good. And then the rear end of it is very classy. It looks nice. It looks like a German car in the rear, and I think it works so well. I think the looks on this car, they really nailed it. Next is it's the perfect daily. That's really no surprise since Honda and Acura are great daily drivers, but they always seem to outdo themselves when making their next freaking bestseller, and the TL is no exception. It is a great daily driver, and there's a reason why you see millions and millions of people driving these cars around town. Next is they are super cheap. Most third generation TLs you can find for under $3,000, and they have close to 300 wheel horsepower, which is extremely worth the price in my opinion. I think this is one of the best deals you can get on a car, especially if you're going the front wheel drive route. It's very quick for the amount of money you have to pay. $3,000. I'm telling you, $3,000 can pick you up a TL. It won't be able to pick you up a Type S TL, but it will pick you up a TL. Just saying. Anyway, next is it has 4 doors and 4 seats, which just kind of always comes in handy. Even if you don't like that added weight because of the 4 seats and having 4 doors, you can always take out those 4 seats and take off the doors, I guess. Not really, you can't do that, but you can take out the 4 seats and lose some weight if you care too much about that. But I think that having 4 doors and 4 seats is always a plus no matter what, really, so that's why I put it on the good. Next, let's get into the bad, which is things that they're not like horrible, but it's kind of up to you. First of all, it's front wheel drive. Personally, I don't like front wheel drive, but that's because I'm a drifty hot boy, stance boy, Admiral Z boy. So don't take my word for it. If you like front wheel drive, that's a great thing. It makes it great for daily driving too. You can't daily drive a rear wheel drive car, especially not where I'm from. And so the front wheel drive is like, I'm on the fence about it. It's up to you. Next is it does have a Honda engine in it, which is a good thing, but the Honda engine is a V6, where most Hondas are notorious for having inline 4s. And so I did my research, don't yell at me, but I honestly don't know how great this engine is for building power. If that's what you're going for, like I said before though, these cars are strictly pretty much show cars, so I don't know why you're trying to build power out of this car. But if you are, I can't tell you right now if it's a good car to do it or not, because it's not the typical Honda inline 4, so I don't know how great they are at making V6s. Next is they're pretty slow off the lot, but they're not too hard to get to fast speeds. And this is where the whole bad thing comes into play, because first of all, yes, I do think they're pretty slow off the lot, but I also think that for the money you're spending, they are extremely quick, if that makes any sense. It's a weird like gray area right there. Like, I think it's definitely worth the money for the speed factor of it, but it's still a little slow. It's hard to explain, but that's why I put it in the bad, since I didn't think it was a awful thing, but I also didn't think it was a great thing. So I just put it in the bad. Next is it's not an eye turner. Most people, at least like your average person, me and you probably don't, but most people just think it's another car, another daily driver on the road. They're probably expecting to see some grandma driving it, unless you modify it obviously, but stock, it doesn't look like super cool. I think, in my opinion, I think it looks awesome, but that's because, like I said, I'm a car guy and I appreciate very small things on cars, just like me and you. I'm sure me and you, we pay close attention to how a car looks, even stock, and we know how all the body lines flow and how it works, and we appreciate it. Even a freaking Camry, I appreciate how the car looks, because that's just how I am. To other people though, they do not care about that kind of stuff. They only see like low slung sports cars as cool. So like they see a Lambo and they're like, that's cool. But where me and you would see a Nissan GTR R34 and we'd be like, that is freaking sick, they wouldn't even care about it. And last, for the bad, is they're a luxury car, which means you sacrifice speed and handling for comfort and nice interiors. Personally, I wouldn't do that. I don't really care about luxury, but there are plenty of people out there that do love luxury over speed. And so if you're one of those people, the Acura TL is great for you. Alright, so now let's get into the ugly, which is stuff that you just cannot argue is bad about the car. And guys, listen, this is why I think this is a great daily driver. I did all my research on YouTube, Wikipedia, and Google, just searching, and forums and all this stuff. And the only thing that I could find that was worthy of putting in the ugly spot is that the transmissions are apparently extremely unreliable, especially the automatics. Now, yes, that does sound like a big problem, but that's why it's in the ugly spot. But that is the only problem I've had. And if you've watched all my other good and bad and the uglies, every other car has had at least 3 uglies. This is the only one so far that's had only one, and it's this: the transmissions are unreliable. Once again, you take good care of your car. If you're a mechanic, you know what you're doing. You can fix that problem yourself. And even if you don't, they had like a recall for them, and so they fixed most of them in the later years. And so all the earlier ones got a recall. And so if the guy you bought it from before didn't bring it back there to get it fixed, you can for free. So it's not that big a deal, but it is definitely something that obviously needs to be addressed. It isn't something that you could just glance over, but it's you know, it's fixable. it's fixable. Besides that, I've heard some things that people don't like about the car. Like, for example, this one guy said that like you can't take out the back seats. I mean you can't fold them down, so you can't like carry a lot of stuff in the back. Once again, that would be something I'd put in bad, though. I wouldn't put that in the ugly. Another thing is like the side skirts, I guess, are split, which I actually kind of think is cool. Everybody else doesn't like that, but I actually kind of thought it was pretty neat. But whatever, I mean, people don't like that. And there's some other things, like it's not a fast car, but once again, you should know that getting into this car. You shouldn't expect to be whipping around in a freaking Acura. But anyway, that's pretty much the end of the good, the bad, and the ugly part. Now I'm going to tell you guys if I think you should buy the car or not. In my personal opinion, I think if you're going to buy a new daily driver and you're like a high school kid and you just want a car that can get you to school and back on time, maybe can get you through college, I think the Acura TL is quite literally the perfect choice for you. I don't think there's any other car out there that is a better choice. You will have the amount of fun that you need without being too dangerous, and you get that front wheel drive reliability, and it's not super flashy and bright, and so not a lot of people are going to be like looking at you. And I know you guys don't want to hear that, but it's actually a good thing. Take it from me, okay? You do not want all this attention in high school and college over your car, because I know it sounds so stupid and I know we all love it, but when you get older you realize that, you know, your car is the thing that you love, and you don't need other people to validate it, if that makes sense. I'm trying to word this, but I'm wording it terribly. Pretty much what I'm saying is that you do not want a lot of people staring at your car at all times, unless they're like other car enthusiasts, and the Acura TL isn't the biggest eye turner unless you modify it. And then that's another cool thing about it too, is if you really do want people to look at your car, and that's like the one reason why you're buying a car, then once you modify it, it can do that, but stock it won't. It's hard. I'm kind of like stuttering over my words right now, and so I'm just gonna completely forget about that whole part of it and just go into the next part of why I think you should buy this if you're in high school. It's also extremely good on gas mileage, extremely reliable, and is very comfortable to drive. It's a great daily driver if you're a young kid. I highly recommend buying this as one of your first cars and they're extremely dirt cheap too. So if you're young and you're in high school and you need a first car, Acura TL is a great actually one of the best choices that I can think of off the top of my head. If you are somebody like me who has already owned a sports car or has sports car experience, and you don't have a very big plan on this car, and you like speed and you like going fast, or if you like drifting or drag racing, I don't recommend buying this. This is for people that, like I said before, are wanting to build a show car and just it can't drift. It's front wheel drive. It's not too exciting. But if you have a plan for it, if you're like, oh, I'm going to boost it, I know how great these engines are. Because once again, I don't know how great these engines are. So if you do and you're like, oh, these engines are amazing for making boosts, then go for it. If you got a plan, still a good deal. If you have a plan, everything's great with a plan. But anyway, that's it. That's what I think if you should buy the car or not. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I was stuttering a lot today. I don't know why, and I'm very sorry for that. I have no idea why it's happening. I was just freaking off of it today. I'm not tired or anything. I just don't know. You know how some days you're just off your rocker a little bit? That's me today, so I don't really get it. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Tomorrow's video is going to be something very, very different, and I'm hoping you guys are going to enjoy it, but I understand if you guys won't enjoy it, because it's kind of weird. But I hope you guys are excited for it at least. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe to the channel. I just want to say thank you. We're at like 6,600 subscribers. We're already closing in on 7,000 subscribers, which is mind-blowing. It actually just blows my mind how fast that YouTube picked up and how great it's doing right now, and how many of you guys still come back every day, even after I missed like 4 days before, and you guys were like, yeah, it's fine, we're back. And I was just like, thank you so much. It gives me a sense of like I can trust you guys, if that makes any sense. It gives me a sense of like I can, you know, I know you guys will stick by me, and that's just really nice. I just really like it. So thank you guys so much for that. Das Vidania, and have a nice night.